So again, thanks that panel. Lots of good suggestions, anecdotes of challenges we face. But I'm going to turn the program over to Sheila, who's going to moderate the next panel. Thank you, Sheila.
I'm Sheila Montgomery. I'm also here representing First Choice Credit Union. I'm a board of director there. But my claim to fame is being a workaholic and a servant leader for the credit union industry for over 40 years. Now, my unclaimed to fame is that of all the things that I thought I accomplished in the credit union world was so insignificant when you're talking about communities, people in the disability communities. I'm sitting here going, I was so concerned about ADA, and I left it there. So I'm feeling kind of inadequate today. I'm happy that I'm actually on the National Disability Institute Board, because now I get to span my wings and tell everybody, hey, guess what's going on, and guess what we can do. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the opportunity. And yes, credit unions are going to be a little bit more intricate about how do we serve all people, no matter where you are. So I won't get into my stories. I just want to let y'all know that I'm going to do better, and I'm excited about that. But I'm here today with a very distinguished panel. I know everybody on this panel, some form or fashion. When you're in Atlanta, you kind of know each other. And I'm excited that they're here today. I want to thank y'all for being here. One of the things I read in the brochure, it said, being banked is a critical component of financial security and a pathway out of poverty for people with disabilities. I think today is one of those days that we're going to find that we can collaborate, we're going to know each other more, and then we're going to do something about it. So today I want to introduce our group, or I'm going to let them introduce themselves as they give their presentations. Thank you.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Yes. I think so. Okay, great. My name's Elaine Hunter. I'm with the FDIC in Community Affairs. I work out of the Savannah field office, but I cover the entire state of Georgia. I previously worked in North Carolina as a bank examiner on the compliance side, and I enjoyed that very well, but now I really love working in community development because I get to work on programs such as this. I want to thank the NDI for putting on this program and for inviting the FDIC to participate. The FDIC is committed to financial inclusion, especially among individuals with disabilities, primarily, in fact, because, as many of you know, we conduct a biannual survey, and that survey continues to show that households headed by individuals with disabilities continue to be among the highest percentage of consumers who are unbanked, meaning they do not have no one in that household has a bank account, or underbanked, meaning that someone in the household may have a bank account, but in the last year they've used an alternative financial service. And so today I want to just talk about some of the programs that the FDIC is involved with in an effort to bring more individuals with disabilities into the mainstream financial system. Sit down. Oh, there we go. I'm going to begin with our free financial education curriculum called Money Smart. Is anybody in the room familiar with Money Smart? Have used Money Smart? Okay, so we have a few people. So again, the key word here is free. And not many things in life is free, but Money Smart is free. But it is a curriculum, and we have it at two primary versions, and those are a version that can be taught, meaning you as an individual or an organization, you can use our materials to teach others. And then we have the version where you can teach yourself. So we'll talk about those briefly today. As you can see, we have Money Smart for everyone. We actually start at pre-K. So we believe that financial education is important. We know that financial education improves people's financial lives. So we believe in starting as soon as they can talk and walk and ask for money, right? So we have programs that are age appropriate. So we have grades from pre-K to 12. And we also have Money Smart for young adults, age 12 to 20, which covers the first 2 years of college, and then, of course, adults. And we also collaborated with the Small Business Administration, and we have an excellent program for those who are interested in starting a business or who's only been in business for a short number of years. And again, it's designed to be taught by professionals who understand small business to others. But again, you can read the materials yourself, but it's designed to be taught. And then we have Money Smart for older adults, because we know that older adults, including individuals with disabilities, are among the highest percentage of consumers who are part of fraudulent schemes. And so Money Smart for older adult actually focuses on avoiding financial scams and other types of scams that plague the older adult community. And again, I mentioned earlier that we have a computer-based instruction, which is like an online game, and I'll show you a visual of that shortly. And then we have the podcast network. So for our Money Smart program that's designed to be taught, we give you everything you need to teach Money Smart. So who uses Money Smart? Who teaches it? Bankers. A lot of bankers do use our materials, either in combination with some of their material or all of it. So bankers, nonprofits, accountants, a number of people use the material to teach others. And that's how we've designed it. We do not necessarily provide one-on-one training, but we do provide train-the-trainer sessions. And so because we design it to be taught to others, we design Money Smart to give you everything you need to teach it. So we give you the instructor guide that has everything you need. We pretty much tell you what to say. If you've never taught Money Smart before, we give you everything in the instructor guide. We give you directions, we give you symbols, we give you dialogue, everything you need to teach it from an instructor perspective. And then we also have a participant guide. So for all of your attendees, you don't have to worry about preparing materials. You do need to prepare for the class, but we give you the materials that you can base your presentation off of. And then we also give you PowerPoint slides. So you don't even have to do your own PowerPoints. Everything is education in a box. It's everything you need to teach Money Smart. These are just some of the topics. This is the adults modules, and as you can see, we cover a wide range of topics. We cover Bank on It, for example, that teaches people about bank accounts. What is a bank? What's the difference between a bank and a credit union? We love them both, so we just call them financial institutions. So, and so we teach about how, what is a bank account? What does it mean to borrow money? What's involved with borrowing money? How do you manage a checking account? What is a checking account? How does it work? The importance of paying yourself first. Keeping it safe, which deals with issues on identity theft, for example. And then to your credit, again, understanding what it's like to borrow money from an unsecured perspective. Charge it right. We teach people about credit cards, right? It's easy to get caught up in credit card debt if you don't understand how to use your credit card correctly. So we teach about credit cards, loan to own, which involves loans to buy cars, computers, even products that Danny might offer. And then your own home, what's involved with owning a home? How do you go about getting a mortgage? What are the different options available for financing a purchase of your home? And then financial recovery is when we added during the recession to help people bounce back from financial pitfalls. There are a number of people during the recession, many without any fault of their own, fell into financial jeopardy, and this module helps people come back and get stable on their financial feet. We have it, again, I mentioned earlier, 2 formats. We have it instructor-led and self-paced, and we have it in 9 languages, and we also have it in Braille and large print. We're always updating Money Smart to make it applicable and practical for people to use. And this past year, the entire year, we have been working on it to make it more available to individuals with disabilities. We have held focus groups. We have met with the disability community in DC. We've done a lot of consulting to determine how we can make our Money Smart program more available to individuals with disabilities and more practical. So one of the things we've done is, in addition to providing you with the instructor guides and the PowerPoints and the participant materials, we also have a guide to teach you how to use the material, and that's the Money Smart Guide to Presenting Money Smart for Adults. Previously, we kind of mentioned in there maybe a couple of pages. These are some of the things you need to think about if you have an individual in your class that has a disability. But we changed that. We've changed that. We have expanded that section in our guide to talk not only about best practices, but we've added scenarios of individuals with disabilities in actual banking situations and how the issues that they faced and how those issues can be resolved. So we've done a lot of that, and as you can see, we've had more pictures, more color schemes. We've increased our fonts. We've used plain language and active voice. So we've done a number of things to improve our Money Smart program. And then this is just a picture of what the self-paced online game looks like. We have it in the Monopoly game format, so that makes it fun. For those of you who remember playing Monopoly, you might get a community chess card, but when you play this game, you actually get a quiz card. And so actually, as you're playing the game and learning about all the topics, actually, this self-paced version covers the same topics that I just went over. But it just makes it more fun and colorful, and it's animated, and it has a digital instructor. So instead of getting community cards or get out of jail free cards, you actually get quizzed on what you're learning. And if you're not aware of it, at the end, when you complete a module, you actually get a certificate. You have to pass the module to get a certificate, a really nice certificate with your name on it that says you passed the module. But I have to confess, the first time I went through this, I didn't realize those quiz cards was actually quizzing me. And so when I got to the end of the module, it said, "You did not pass." And I was quite offended because I didn't know that the quiz cards were actually my exam, that I had to pass 80%. So anyway, just letting you know. Okay. In addition to Money Smart, we are actively engaged in a lot of programs with a lot of different partners, again, to promote and make the financial industry aware of the needs that individuals with disabilities have, and how we really need to focus on bringing them into the mainstream financial system. And so we have done summits like this one with NDI, and again, we appreciate them for allowing us to participate with them. We've done a number of banker roundtables and lunch and learn sessions. And those pretty much, some of you may have attended those. Basically, we've done them throughout the state here in Georgia, and we invite bankers in, and then we have individuals from the disability community talk about just the different needs and different challenges that banking customers who have disabilities. And we even feed the bankers. We bring them in, we give them lunch, and then we actually get to hear from both sides. We get to hear from the bankers and some of the things that they're doing, and the bankers get to hear how the disability community, the challenges that they're experiencing, so the bankers get to learn how they can better meet those customers' needs. So those have been really good, fruitful sessions. And then last year, we also met with the CFPB. It's another federal regulatory agency, and we actually focused on a lot of organizations who help and support individuals with disabilities, and we taught them how to use Money Smart, but also how to use the CFPB's materials, again, to educate individuals with disabilities, again, because education is so key to everything. So you can have money, but if you don't have the education, how to manage it, most of the time you're gonna lose it. And then we also participate in workforce innovation and opportunity programs. And then we have financial capability coalition and collaborators that's all over the U.S. The FDIC, we're in all regions. We have regions all over the U.S., and each of our regions are participating in a number of programs, such as AEIs, Bank-Ons, which you heard someone mentioned earlier. We're so excited to have Bank-On Atlanta. We have Bank-On Savannah. We've had it for a while, and it's been going really well, but we are super excited about Bank-On Atlanta. And then we also have asset and opportunity networks and wealth building coalitions. So again, we are doing a number of things because, again, we truly believe that financial education is a key to someone coming out of poverty, but financial education alone is not enough. The Federal Reserve banks have done research that have showed that unless you have some kind of asset to go along with financial education alone is not enough. You need bank accounts as just a minimum. Someone needs an asset like a savings account to start building wealth. And I believe that everyone in the room, each of us play a role, and we really need to focus on individuals with disabilities because everyone needs to have access to the banking system. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning again. I'm Olivia Alston. I'm with United Way of Greater Atlanta, and I'm responsible for the VITA initiative. You heard a little bit about that earlier, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And that piece of work falls under our income category in the Community Engagement Department of United Way. So that's who I am, and that's where my piece of work falls. So what I'm going to talk to you about today will include an overview of a few of our income programs, what those programs do, and how we work with those programs, as well as it encompasses VITA as well. So we're going to talk briefly about those things. So over the past 2 years, United Way has changed the way that they engage and the way that we look at our work. We now are approaching a data-driven approach to our work and how we affect the community and how we try to improve the lives of the people in our community. And that is known as the Child Wellbeing Movement or the Child Wellbeing Index. So we've been studying with a group of partners, and these partners have helped us come up with statistics and data that explains how our community is doing, how children and families and individuals are doing in several areas. If you're interested in the actual detailed training, I can make sure that we get that to the organizers and they can see that later. You can see that, but this has proven to be very effective in telling us where do we need to make an additional impact. So United Way services 13 counties in the greater Atlanta area, as far north as Cherokee County, as far south as Henry County, and all points in between. So with that being the case, we've discovered through this work that there are several areas that may need a little more attention. We've discovered that certain areas, as you can imagine, have what we call very low child well-being index scores. This tool that we created is zip code based. So there are certain zip codes, and you actually can have access to the tool, plug in a zip code and see how children are doing in these areas, in areas such as reading scores, areas such as graduation rates, areas such as career readiness and career advancement, areas such as financial stability. So what we've discovered is there are certain areas in which children are not doing well, and you may ask yourself, why children? Well, because when children come from families where they're doing well, that means that the whole household is doing well. That means that the adults are doing well. That means that everyone in that household is doing well. And research has shown us that when children are doing well, the entire community is doing well. So it doesn't mean that we're no longer going to focus on work related to families, individuals, people with disabilities. We are still going to do all of that, but we are taking a special interest in making sure that these organizations are collaborating with people that are moving these indicators that we have. Of the nearly 1.3 million children living in our 13-county region, nearly 500,000 of them live in low or very low child well-being index zip codes. So these are people that are not doing well in the areas of work, not doing well in being banked, not doing well in being able to make ends meet. So that's why we want to focus on helping the children, therefore helping the community in those areas. And just if you're interested, Clayton County is the area that was identified with a very low child well-being index score. So you'll notice, you pay attention to United Way's work, you will notice an emphasis in Clayton County or organizations that partner in Clayton County. So along with this work, we're embarking on a child well-being scorecard pilot program to address these issues from a collaborative position. And if you're interested in participating in this work or having more information about this work, you can send an email to community@unitedwayatlanta.org. And in the subject line, put scorecard pilot. So that's community@unitedwayatlanta.org. And scorecard pilot should go in your subject line, and you'll get more information and find out how you can participate if you're interested in learning more about that work or taking an active role in that work. So now on to what else we do in the financial and asset building world. Our goal is to empower people to get on stable financial ground, and through job training, through financial education, through financial coaching, just all the different areas, and through education, so that they can succeed and live stable, full lifestyles. And we heard statistics earlier that people with disabilities are disproportionately affected by these statistics, and we want to make sure that we are empowering the community with disabilities and not overlooking them, and not making sure we take into account they're very diverse. They're a diverse group of people with disabilities, and we want to make sure we encompass them. In Greater Atlanta, 40% of families are classified as working poor and are forced to make the trade-off decisions between things like paying rent, paying for utilities, or buying food. We focus on supporting agencies and collaborates with to provide high-quality service programs that support families in reaching financial stability and self-sufficiency. One such program is in the workforce development arena. It's known as Career Rise. Career Rise is a training program where we collaborate with workforce development agencies that provides training in the areas of construction, training in the areas of IT, customer service, maintenance, and we offer training programs that can be anywhere from 3 to 20 weeks long, depending on the program that you choose. And at the end of the program, the participants come out with a certification, some sort of training credentials, as well as, and this is very hard to say in some settings, and in some of the programs actually guarantee a job at the end. That's one, our Construction Ready program. So that is the training program. We're currently in the in-between stage, so we're not taking new applications now, but Career Rise is the way in which we affect the workforce agency and ensure that people are able to earn money and have an income to support themselves and their family. Additional, the Financial Capability Network, or Making Wages Work, some of you may have heard of that. This is where we partner and provide financial education and resources and financial coaching to individuals. This financial coaching is done on a one-on-one basis, and it's done by volunteer coaches. So our coaches are not necessarily people that are financial experts, not bankers, not financial planners. They're everyday people like you and me, and they provide this coaching. They receive training from us, but they provide the one-on-one one-on-one coaching with the individual that's interested in improving their financial life. The coaching can be done in whatever format works for the two. Since it's one-on-one, if you want to meet at a coffee shop, you can do that. If you want to meet at the person's house or at a public place or someplace at United Way, they can do that. And our coaches, if you're interested in becoming a coach, we encourage you to let us know, and you definitely can do that. If you're interested in coaching, we can help you on that side as well. The coaching is a minimum of 6 months, but sometimes it's longer than that because some people, the relationship goes so well and people are engaged and they continue on the path. I know I don't do coaching directly, but I've heard of stories where people have coached someone from the place of a very, very poor credit score and not having viable employment, not making a living wage, to where they are now homeowners and have a stable bank account and they're able to well take care of their family and the children. So coaching has proven to be very successful. We've coached nearly close to 1,000 people since we've started this initiative just a couple years ago. That's the slide for the coaching. I think I should be here. So the other initiative I'm going to talk about before I sit down is VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. I saw a few hands go up. If you could just indulge us one more time for my IRS partners. Who has heard of VITA? Just a very few. I'm never in a room where over 50% of the room has actually heard of VITA. VITA is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. In conjunction with the IRS, we operate this initiative that provides free tax preparation to individuals with low to moderate income. That's not the only individuals we provide it to. We actually can have a higher income, but if you're disabled or speak English as a second language, those are all individuals that we're happy to serve at our VITA sites. In Greater Atlanta, we have approximately 30 sites that operate from January until April. Those sites are operated by volunteers. Again, these volunteers are trained and certified through an IRS training program. We carry out the training, and every volunteer has to pass, again, with an 80% or better. So when they have to take a certification test, and they must pass that test before they can touch a tax return. So people sometimes are nervous, like, oh, volunteers, I don't know if I want volunteers to do my taxes. It's a very safe and smart way to have your taxes prepared. So we encourage you to spread the word about VITA. If I was having this conversation with you in October, I would ask, if I may still do this, ask if I can have all your email addresses and ask that you serve as a champion for us to get the word out so people know about this great initiative. Last year, not 18 that just ended a few days ago, but last year we did over 15,000 tax returns at those 30 sites. We made an impact of over $25 million in economic impact. So what does that mean? That means in refunds going back to hardworking families. That means in tax prep saving fees. See, we use the figure of $400, which we saved individual on tax preparation. So VITA is not just about doing taxes for individuals. It is about financial stability, because there's a segment of our population that receives tax refunds upwards of $5,000, depending on what credits they receive and what they're eligible for. So that creates and puts you in a position to have a significant impact of receiving $5,000 at one time and what you can do with that. So as I take my seat, I just want to say our income work aims to develop self-sufficient individuals and families, which are key to strong and thriving communities. Families who are economically secure can invest time in their children's education as well as their own. They can save for the future and withstand financial crisis. They have a greater likelihood of becoming homeowners, promoting strong neighborhoods, therefore promoting strong communities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, or still good morning. How's everyone doing today? Wonderful. My name is Lance Triggs. I'm President of Field Operations for Operation Hope. I'm so happy to be here. I want to thank the Shepherd Center and NDI for hosting this wonderful event. I think they deserve a round of applause. Excellent event. And also JP Morgan Chase, a good friend of mine, Rodney Hood, who plays an instrumental role in these conferences for Chase. So it's great to be here. As I mentioned, first of all, I'm just happy to be here. I've been with Operation Hope since its beginning. That's actually 26 years. I feel like I've been here longer than Cain and Abel. It's been a long time, but it's been some great work at Operation Hope. Oops. Next. Get it. All right. I got it together. Oh, okay. We're going to skip. So Operation Hope, our focus is taking from civil rights to civil rights. Our movement is tied to a work that President Abraham Lincoln did over 150 years ago called the Freedmen's Bank. And part of that was integrating all Americans in the economic system. The second component of our work is tied to Dr. King's movement we all know about his history in civil rights, but before he was assassinated, he was transitioning towards economic wellness. And for those of you who remember the Poor People's Campaign that unfortunately he was not able to launch himself due to his assassination, he was encouraging and focusing on the importance of financial wellness and economic equality for all Americans. So as our global spokesperson, Ambassador Andrew Young, who was one of his chief lieutenants, always reminded us is that we're now the bridge of connecting the civil rights to what we call the civil rights movement. As mentioned, we've been in existence for over 25 years. We've served over 3 million Americans, youth and adults, in that time span. We also played a role in investing over $2.7 billion in underserved and inner city communities through mortgage financing. Part of our mission is to increase home ownership in underserved communities for all Americans, also create small businesses in these communities as well. And then for those of you who recall, I guess about 10 years ago, with the economic crisis, we played a role working with a number of our partners in helping people avoid foreclosure in terms of their property. So $2.7 billion in economic resources provided. I'm going to go back to the next two slides. We focus on two types of doctrines at Operation Hope. There's the doctrine on poverty and the doctrine on hope. With the doctrine of poverty, you see the 6 categories. So we found that there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is a financial condition, but being poor is a disabling frame of mind and it's a condition of the spirit. So as we deal with our clients, whether those who have disabilities or not, we recognize that not only we have to deal with the financial wellness, but we also have to deal with the psychological aspect of that human being or that client as well. So when they first come into our Hope Inside locations under this doctrine of poverty, we focus on aspiration. People who are dealing with problems with self-esteem and other challenges, we find that they don't have any hope in their life. In terms of opportunity, they don't feel that there's a way up. When it comes to self-esteem, they tend to have a negative, low self-esteem about themselves. When it comes to role models, you see that the poor modeling leads to detrimental results. And then when you look at their environment, the negative and environment or negligent of families and friends tend to surround them in their situation. But then when you look at the poverty on wealth, aspiration is someone with hope, someone who feels like they have opportunity, someone whose self-esteem is much higher, someone who has positive role models that they surround themselves with. And last but not least, their environment is one that's positive and nurturing. The Hope Inside programs we offer are throughout the United States. We have over 100 locations located in various models. We're in banks, We're in medical centers, we're in colleges and universities, we're in hotels, we're also in law enforcement agencies, and we're also in grocery stores like Whole Foods. And it's in these Hope Inside locations where we have financial well-being coaches that provide the following services. We provide home ownership education and counseling, because we believe, as I mentioned earlier, the importance of home ownership that stabilizes communities and creates wealth. We also provide small business and entrepreneurship training for individuals because we know that small businesses is a main driver in our economy, but we know that we want to provide individuals an option from working a day-to-day job, but being an entrepreneur. So we provide a 12-week entrepreneur training program for individuals, adults, and then also the credit and money management program as well. We recognize that that's an important piece of employment. 47% employers now run credit checks before making hiring decisions, and we also know that in order to access capital in the banking system, one has to have strong credit. And then we also have a financial disaster recovery program where we, on the front end, make sure that individuals have their finances in order. For example, it was founded after 9/11. We've served with Homeland Security as well as FEMA through many national declared disasters and natural disasters like Katrina, 9/11, the Florida hurricanes currently in Texas and Florida. And we found an interesting situation, especially after 9/11 in New York, when unfortunately there were lives lost. But the surviving members, the family members of that household, and many were disabled. They didn't have a clue where the bank account numbers were, the insurance papers were, and things of that nature. And so under our program on the pre-disaster end, we make sure that we work with people in the community to make sure all these things are in order so that when a disaster or a crisis hits, and it could be a natural disaster, a national disaster, or economic disaster, they have all their paperwork in order. But then on the post-disaster, we tend to respond as a second stage responder. Everyone's familiar with the American Red Cross, correct? So American Red Cross tends to respond to the immediate needs, food, clothing, and shelter. But with Operation Hope, we recognize that what happens 6 months later when that individual has lost their home, they've lost their job, they lost their business. And yet the creditors, the mortgage companies are continuing to call on them to make their payments. So we work with the creditors and the banks to defer the payments over a year or two until they get themselves back on their feet. And so all these services are offered under our Hope Inside model. The empowerment process starts with our outreach, and so we partner with a number of organizations. I'm happy to see some of our collaborators with United Way and FDIC, amongst others, because we feel that in order to eradicate poverty, it's going to take more than just one organization. So through collaboration, we work together with these organizations, and then from there, we invite people to come to our financial wellness workshops, and then from there, they attend our one-on-one counseling sessions, and then once they attend those counseling sessions, we identify what their goals are. We have them to stop for a minute and look at their financial situation. What is their credit score? What is their debt situation? And how much money do they have saved in order for us to be able to assist them? And then through our individual counseling efforts, we are then able to improve their credit, debt, and savings situation so that they truly are a financial empowerment well-being afterwards. Why Operation Hope? Some very staggering statistics. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 78% of Americans. 6 out of 10 Americans, unfortunately, do not have enough savings for unplanned emergencies, not even $500. 51% of Americans have subprime credit scores. And then 30% of American jobs, unfortunately, will be lost to automation by the year 2030. And then there's 20% of eligible Americans who don't even know about the earned income tax credit that aren't even applying. And this is a program where if you make less than $50,000 a year, you can earn anywhere from $6,000 in earned income tax credits. And if you haven't filed in 3 or 4 years, you can earn up to about $13,000. So it's because of these staggering statistics is why Operation Hope is in existence. What does this mean to you? Well, we feel that the benefits of our program is creating a more financial well-being person, because now we're focusing on some of these statistics. We're making sure that people aren't living paycheck to paycheck, because we're creating a discipline for individuals so that they're able to save money. They're able to pay their debts. They're able to go to work because they want to and not because they have to. And we also have seen studies of the connection between financial wellness with physical wellness. Because if you are living financially stressed, you're bringing those things to work with you in terms of your performance. So we want to eliminate all of that, through our programming. Financial wellness for us is defined as making sure that people are bankable or have a bank account and they're saving money, that we're reducing their debt, that we're increasing their credit scores to at least 700. Also at Operation Hope, we believe that there's nothing greater than God, love, and family than having a 700 credit score. Can I get amen? All right. So that's very important, because that's how some of the instruments are how we access the banking system. And then making sure that individuals have more than 3 months saved to deal with emergencies. Because, again, it's when you're on the ground and in the crisis arena and seeing people who do not have these capabilities, it's very crippling for individuals. How can we assist? Well, as I mentioned, we're in over 100 locations throughout the United States under our Hope Inside model, and we encourage people to go to our website at operationhope.org, and you'll be able to see all the list of services, but all the locations that we serve around the United States. And these are all of our partners that allow us to provide our services for free, because that's very important as well. And so in closing, Operation Hope is all about disrupting poverty, but empowering inclusion. Thank you very much.
Can we give this panel a round of applause? So it's all about capacity, access, and opportunity. So I'm going to open it up for questions.
This is a question for Ms. Hunter. So with the Money Smart program, is it available to everybody or just individuals with disabilities?
It's available to everyone. I don't have a mic. But.
And do we just call the FDIC to get a package for that, or how do you go about that?
I don't know if it's working. It's on. Yes, we have a FDIC Money Smart website that you can go to. It lists all of our products, and you can download them for free, or you can order them. So we have some of the programs are in CD-ROM format, so you can order those. And again, it's free. You don't even pay postage. So we make it very easy for you to get it. Or you can download it and save it to your computer or print it. But it's available to everyone.
This question's for Olivia. You guys, you're doing the tax preparation, and I deal with the Affordable Care Act, and we help the people that are on disability income. It usually takes them 2 years to get the Medicare, so we use the Affordable Care Act on those 2 years. But we have to have at least $13,000 of income here in Georgia, the federal poverty limit, to get those subsidies, because we didn't expand Medicaid here in Georgia. So does the stable funds that they put into stable, does that count towards those? It should under the modified adjusted gross income, or is that too specific of a question?
It's a little specific, but let me make sure I understand the question.
Okay.
You're asking about individuals with disability and the amount of income they receive and how that relates to the Affordable Care Act and the tax implications?
Yes.
Is that okay?
So they have a 2-year. They'll get awarded disability, but they won't get their Medicare benefits for 2 years. Mm-hmm. From under SSDI, and then they get the Medicare. But we need to get them a health plan during those 2 years, and they can't afford one. We have to get tax credits to get them the health plan.
So during those 2 years, are eligible? You can still get some sort of coverage, right?
No.
Like Medicaid. Okay. So I don't know the specific answer to that. However, I will say this, and I actually have some IRS friends. I don't know if they're still here. Not to put you on the spot, but in terms of the advanced premium tax credits, which I think you're referring to, and in terms of the penalty or the shared responsibility payments, what it's technically called. The shared responsibility payment should not be an issue because of their income, so they shouldn't have to worry about that. And the advanced premium tax credit, I believe they should be able to receive that credit, but it becomes an issue when you talk about 2 years. The problem is in that next year, we're gonna say, okay, how much did you actually spend, or did you have to spend on your health care? And that may put them in a situation where they have to reconcile that advanced premium tax credit. And just incidentally, they would typically not have to pay the penalty because they're under the threshold.
The problem is showing $13,000 of income. That's what you have to show in order to get the advanced premium credit.
The advanced premium credit.
Yep.
You're
Why
positive
don't,
about
yeah,
that? Okay.
let's move on. I'd be glad, I could give you some further answers to your question. We could talk about it
And I
like
can look up
before,
some stuff for
after
you
lunch.
also.
Okay.
This question is for Ms. Hunter. With the Money Smart program, what is the reading level for the program? How did you all develop the program? Did you base it on a certain reading level, or?
We didn't. I don't know what the reading level is, but we made it very low.
It is.
Because that is something that we have focused on, and we've actually had consultants to make sure we make it very plain.
Okay.
Very plain and easy to understand. So again, that is a focus, but I don't know exactly which level, but it's very low.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? I was told that I'm between lunch, so I'm going to do 2 questions to our panel. Again, thank you so much for coming. One is, almost 1 in 2 adults with disabilities in Atlanta are unbanked or underbanked. Do you have any recommendations on how more individuals with disabilities can become part of the financial mainstream? And we will start with Ms. Elaine.
Well, I think, again, it's a number of things. Just the time that I have spent with individuals with disabilities, many are concerned about their benefits. That even having an account, having money in an account, just doing anything that would hurt their benefits. So I think we're going to have a lot of education, especially with the stable accounts, because I think people are going to be afraid if they don't understand the stable accounts even. But it takes someone that the individual with disabilities trust, educating them about financial literacy, about banking, and so that, I think, will go a long ways, at least getting people to trust the system so that they can take advantage of the different services and benefits that banks have to offer and other financial institutions.
Excellent.
I have the microphone. My answer would be more focused on the financial institutions. So I think they have to do a really excellent job at outreach, at marketing to that community specifically. I think they have to do an excellent job at getting people from the disabled community to serve as champions, to make sure people are aware of the services and also say, hey, this has been my experience, this institution is great, this is the institution that I have worked with, you should try this as well. So my answer is more so related to what the institutions should do, and I think it's more education, more outreach, and more marketing and getting champions.
Thank you.
Yes, and I would echo those sentiments with the financial institutions, making sure that they have products and services that are in line with the needs of the community. Number one. Number two, I think not only financial institutions, but organizations, other nonprofits and other community organizations, providing more access, whether that's through virtual financial workshops, recognizing that it's not always easy in terms of traveling from one's resident to a facility for a workshop. So offering workshops from a virtual perspective, offering counseling services from a virtual perspective as well, and then making sure that curriculum is created online. So as another way of providing access.
Excellent. I'm going to ask this question, and Lance, I know you've had people that were part of the Bank On. I don't remember seeing you in the meeting, but Bank On is one of the initiatives that we're starting here in Atlanta. And so this question goes, Bank On is beginning to mobilize financial institutions and community groups to work together in the Atlanta area. Can you explain what Bank On is and how people and organizations can get involved? And the reason why I bring that up is because it's starting new. And this is a time to kind of craft what that looks like. So if you'd like to try to answer it, I know you've had people in the meeting, but certainly we can start with you and we'll come back down the line.
Yes. No, Bank On is a wonderful initiative that has been established around the United States. And it really plays a role in the financial inclusion space by bringing banking services to mainstream, to the general public. And so whether that's through helping establish IDA programs or match programs for residents in the community, whether it's addressing the some of the challenges or the impediments in terms of people who cannot get approved for opening a bank account, addressing those needs as well as laxing some of the criteria in the banking community in terms of helping people to be able to qualify to open up a bank account. And then from there, how it then expands to accessing capital as well. So here in the city of Atlanta, as well as other cities around the United States, you know, it's organizations like those of us here represented today working together to address those needs.
Excellent, thank you so much. Would you like to do that?
Yeah. I'd like to add that Bank On actually supported by an organization called Cities for Financial Empowerment. So all of the Bank Ons actually, you'll see that they're titled by the city because the whole idea is to get the city behind the program. And so you hear Bank On Atlanta or Bank On San Francisco, which is where it started. So that's the root of it, is that the city is saying we want our citizens to have access to banking services. And the type of banking services that are offered are those based on bank account standards. So it's just not any accounts, but these are accounts that are geared specifically towards people to bring them into the banking system. So they won't have a lot of fees, if any. They'll have very low or no minimum balance to maintain or open the account. They won't have, some of them won't have overdraft fees or very high standards to get into the accounts. And so banks agree to participate, and credit unions. Banks and credit unions agree, and they agree to offer those types of accounts. So an individual can feel safe opening an account at one of the banks that are listed. So generally the bank is listed on the Bank On website. So the banks that are participating will be listed, and so if someone wants to get an account, they can go to the Bank On website and see the names of the institutions that are listed, and they can go to those institutions and know that they're getting an account that has very low or no fees, and that they won't have to come up with a ton of money just to open the account. And so those are some of the good things, and that's what helps financial inclusion, because a lot of the roadblocks have been taken away. And the account standards are based on a program that FDIC piloted many years ago. I believe it was 2011, where we came up with safe standards, safe account, where a person could feel safe opening an account, going into a bank, knowing that they don't have to feel like they're going to, not that bankers do this, but people feel this way. I just want to say that. I don't think bankers do this at all, but people feel like bankers might entrap them into some product and going to charge them a whole bunch of fees and that they can't get out. But they can feel safe going into any of those banks and getting an account that they know that they can maintain and operate without getting charged every month.
Excellent. Olivia, did you want to add in, or?
Oh, I would just say that for all of you, keep your ears open and your eyes open, because Bank On is starting here in Atlanta. So that's another resource that you can share with the communities you work with and people you serve, and help us get the word out.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you so much for being part of this very important event. I think you have done a wonderful job in explaining some of the opportunities and some collaborative things that are going on here in the city. And thank all of you for your patience, and again, look forward to seeing much more being done for the rest of the day. Thanks again.